it's just the question, often when you talk about bringing gender policy into an organization, particularly I'm part of the new UNOPS Global Innovation Program, and I'm really keen to bring some of the interesting learnings that you're talking about. But because there's so much going on, people see it as a nice to have and not kind of an essential part of the kind of setup of an organization or the setup of a policy or an initiative. How do you kind of make this important for everyone in the room?
Well, thanks. Well, at first, and I think this is one of the key messages that I usually try to, and I try to start with that, is to say that, to try to say that gender is not a woman's issue. Because oftentimes, and you see that with the private sector a lot, when you start talking about gender, you see that you're either talking of a room full of women, or clearly you have only in the room what we would call men eyes, but yeah, it's strange to see for me how we are still seeing gender as a woman issue. So I think that's one of the key to be successful, and this is why we have tried to create the gender innovation principle, is to try to say that it's not a women issue, it's not a men issue. It's just like, how are you designing products and services that respond to the needs of the entire population and not 50 or even 40, 20% of it. And from a private sector perspective, from the discussion we've had and engagement and a little bit in the UN as well, but what we see is that if you really try to move away from the conversation of how do you design specifically for women, but much more what are the specific needs. And then if you manage to do research and use sex disaggregated data to see how what are the users' experience, whether in the case of UNOPS or other, but if you are building a service center, how is it used differently by women and men? What are the challenges that they have if you're developing a specific service and product? Try to see what is the proportion of men or women using it, and why sometimes there is such a gap. In terms of talking to the private sector, a lot of the discussion is looking at market share that you lose. You obviously have the market share or the bad publicity that you get from the example that I've shown when you have your new shiny products that is all over the web labeled as a sexist product. But you also have in the longer term the issue of having products where you're losing clients or you're not making as much profit as you should make just because you haven't designed for that specific group. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes trying to move the discussion away from just a women's empowerment issue, but much more as an issue that is of concern for everyone, and trying to see how you also can phrase it in terms of profit or of benefits or something that is much measurable, try to take away the long discussion on just women participation. Because as I said, it's not just about having more women at the table, it's just how we are creating an environment that is inclusive for everyone.